Hello YouTube, this is Tattooed Alex on a beautiful Saturday morning. Today is November the 11th, so I'd like to wish all my fellow brothers and sisters serving in the United States Armed Forces a happy Veterans Day. I was in the United States Navy from July 5th, 1988 through June 30th, 1993, so just a couple of days shy of 5 years. During my time, I spent, I did boot camp out in Great Lakes, Illinois there, and I have a journal that I actually wrote probably within about the first week I got to boot camp, so about every couple of years I kind of pick it up and read it, so it's pretty interesting to see how I felt at the time, how homesick I was, and just through time about the midway point where you really start getting acclimated to that way of life. And I think I quit being homesick. I started making friends at boot camp, and you know, started really enjoying it, and really just you know, having a good time with it, and just kind of remember why I joined. I mean, it's pretty hard when you first go into boot camp. You're excited and scared, and I think you kind of lose focus of what you're there for. But yeah, once you start getting acclimated to the way of doing things in the military, and you really kind of accept it, and you really start looking forward to the reason you joined. And the reason I joined was I just wanted to see the world, and the Navy was the way to go. When I was in high school, I was in Air Force ROTC just my freshman year in high school, and I was really leaning towards the Air Force, and then my brother was looking to join as well, and then I just kind of thought about it, and I thought, you know, that's probably the better way to see the world than just being on a ship and going port to port. So after I got out of boot camp, I went to Dam Neck, Virginia for A school. I was an operations specialist, so I went to school in Dam Neck, Virginia. I don't recall, I think it was about just shy of 4 months of training, and from after that they sent me on leave for a couple of weeks, and then I went down to Guantanamo Bay, Cuba for 2 years and 8 months. I was stationed down there, so definitely had an interesting time down there, we'll say. You know, when I first got there, I obviously didn't know anybody, and so I was kind of getting homesick a little bit, and just remember how scared I was my first duty station. And the first 30 days you kind of worked with this detail where you kind of did different things around the base, and of course you know, at the time I was I don't remember, I was probably an E1 or E2 at the time, so I think I was probably still an E1. You know, and you're at the bottom of the totem pole, so you're doing a lot of trash detail, things like that. Although I gotta say, it actually wasn't that bad. We went around, did different things around the base, some painting here and there, and kind of stuff like that. It wasn't bad. It was kind of like a regular job. You basically showed up at 8, and you were done by about, I think I may have been done by about 4:30. And after I did about a month of that, then I started working at my duty station up at the in Cuba. It's this, I'm trying to remember, I think it's this hill called Crane Hill up there, where they had like the Combat Information Center and basically radar work. At the time, that's where an operations specialist was, although being stationed in Cuba, it's obviously a lot different than a ship, because you're not moving, so you're not too worried about some of the things that you are you know, on a ship. So main thing we did was watch the air radar. I mean, sometimes we look at the surface radar, but we weren't all that worried about us crashing, since we were an island, so occasionally we look at that, but most of the time we spent our time looking at the radar. At the time, when I was in, especially in the late 80s, it was Cuba had that relationship with the Soviet Union, and so I remember it was a big event. Anytime the MiGs flew over that, it was like a huge event for us, just keeping an eye on everything. But it was overall, it was a great duty station. I really enjoyed it. I got into scuba diving while I was down there, so made a lot of great friends down there. Really enjoyed my time. So I was originally a year and a half, and I ended up extending for a year, so I really enjoyed it. I mean, it was pretty much almost like a regular job as well. We did like 48-hour shift in 5 days. We had some days it was an 8-hour shift, some days you kind of pulled a morning, then a night shift. But overall, I mean, I enjoyed it. I had a good time, made a lot of good friends. After the ship, I went to school again in Aegis. Actually, no, I think I went to Harpoon Missile Engagement School first, and then I went to an Aegis school out in Maryland. So after a couple months of training, I went to my ship. I was stationed on the Thomas S. Gates CG-51. So I was on the ship probably for a little bit over a year and a half. Did quite a few deployments in that year and a half that I was on. I mean, we did a med cruise. We went down to South America through the Panama Canal, through the locks. Got my shell back, went south of the equator. Did a bunch of stuff in the North Atlantic and the Caribbean. So overall, I had a good time. I mean, I guess probably I appreciate it more now that I'm older than I was younger. I think part of the problem when you're younger, I mean, you do appreciate it, but, you know, and I'm sure that the current military is still like that. It's highly political in different ways, and you just don't always like sometimes. I feel my type of work should be more appreciated than the type of ass kissing that you do. And a lot of, you know, times ass kissing is much more appreciated than your level of work. And that's one thing I wasn't real happy about at the time. And I was also engaged to my girlfriend, and we were getting married, and I kind of debated re-enlisting, and I just didn't want to have a family and basically never see them and have kids and not be there for the birth of my kids and not be involved in my kids' lives. And so that's why I made the decision to get out at the time. But I mean, I've definitely got some lifelong friends. Unfortunately, I don't have a ton of them, but I've got about 5 friends on Facebook that I currently still Facebook and message occasionally and talk to. So yeah, it's great having those friendships. I mean, it's just a great time looking back, and you know, pretty much Memorial Day, Veterans Day, the days I'm always looking back and talking to those guys and reaching out to them and thinking about all the good times we had. So just wanted to say definitely happy Veterans Day, hopefully to all active duty, retired, no longer in like myself, that got out with an honorable discharge. A happy Veterans Day. And I think, personally, I don't think we do enough to congratulate those veterans, especially those veterans on active duty. They've got a pretty difficult life, especially the ones that are married and have families. And I hate to take away from the single guys, but it's just a different experience when you're married and you have family and kids, and you're away quite a bit from those families. It's not easy. So you definitely have to give them credit. It is not easy being a military spouse or a military husband if your wife is enlisted. So definitely want to say thank you to all service men and women that are out there serving our country. So happy Veterans Day, and this is Tattooed Alex. And if you're in the military and want to tell me about your time in the service or any comments, please feel free to leave a comment. If you like the video, give me a like. This is Tattooed Alex. Happy Veterans Day.